My grandma always loved to pretend to be senile. When my younger brother, Leo, was taking his university entrance exams, she feigned senility, flushed his exam notification papers down the toilet, forcing him to retake the exams the following year. When I, Mia, applied for the position of food director, she pretended to be muddle-headed, telling outsiders that I often vomited at night. This made the company mistakenly believe I was pregnant and unmarried, removing me from the list of candidates. My parents couldn't take it anymore and wanted to send Grandma back to our hometown. Before she left, Grandma cooked a loving bowl of fish soup for the whole family. After we finished eating, she acted senile, patting her head. "Oh dear, I went out today and forgot my money. Where did this fish come from?" Just then, a neighbor outside shouted, "Who took my pufferfish?" "You can't eat that, it's poisonous." Our whole family was poisoned and died. Grandma then brought her illegitimate son, Blake, and her lover, the blacksmith, to the city to live lavishly. Opening my eyes once more, I found myself back on the day Grandma demanded to come live with us. My child quickly opened the door. "Mother is here." Grandma pounded on our door. All four of us inside were startled and terrified. Leo, frightened, clung to Dad's arm, begging him not to let Grandma move in. Mom reacted by rushing into the kitchen, intending to grab a cleaver. "Mr. Lee, if you dare let your mother in, I'll divorce you." Dad, however, instead of his usual filial piety, responded, "Don't worry, Mrs. Lee, I'll go chase her away right now." Seeing this, I understood. Our entire family had been reborn. In our previous life, Grandma used the excuse that Leo was about to take his university exams, suggesting she move in to better care for him. But Grandma, who was originally cunning and sharp-tongued, suddenly changed her personality, becoming extremely muddle-headed. In winter, she would set the air conditioner in Leo's room to cooling mode, causing him to suffer from a high fever and even pneumonia. Mom was furious, but Grandma would claim she had good intentions, worrying that Leo would get internal heat from using the air conditioner too much, but due to her old age, her mind was a bit muddled and she accidentally pressed the cooling button instead of the off button. Dad, though he loved Leo, couldn't bring himself to scold Grandma when he saw her bewildered expression. Grandma remained peaceful for a while until the day before the university entrance exam. Mom meticulously checked Leo's exam notification papers and pencil case, ensuring there were no errors. Unexpectedly, while everyone was asleep, Grandma secretly took Leo's exam notification and flushed it down the toilet. She even fabricated a story. "I was worried Leo would forget his documents, so I specially sewed them into his shirt pocket. But after I sewed them, I forgot what I was doing and accidentally washed them away." Leo missed his university entrance exam and was devastated for a long time. After harming Leo, Grandma then targeted me. Knowing I was running for a leadership position, Grandma used the pretense of bringing me food, deliberately feigning senility to ask my colleagues, "Do you know what's wrong with a girl who vomits frequently at night?" That same day, rumors that I was pregnant and unmarried spread everywhere. Before I even had a chance to get a medical checkup to prove otherwise, the company removed me from the candidate list. After my misfortune, Mom also fell victim to Grandma's schemes. Mom's dance troupe had made it to the provincial finals for the first time. To ensure she was on time, Mom set multiple alarms. Unexpectedly, Grandma secretly took Mom's phone and turned it off. When Mom woke up, all her friends in the dance troupe were celebrating their victory, while Mom, who was temporarily absent and unreachable, received a notice forcing her to leave the troupe. Dad realized the gravity of the situation and wanted to kick Grandma out. But our whole family was poisoned and killed by Grandma's malicious pufferfish soup that she had stolen. After calming down, I stopped Dad, who was about to go outside. This time, if we didn't let Grandma move in, with her deliberately troublesome nature, she certainly wouldn't let it go easily. Outsiders valued filial piety. Grandma was over 50 and had no spouse. She had lived alone in the village for years and hadn't done anything truly outrageous yet. If we didn't take her in, our family's reputation would undoubtedly be slandered by her. Leo was in the final sprint for his university exams and couldn't be affected by outside rumors. Mom angrily brandished the knife in her hand. "That wicked old hag, she's so hateful. If we let her in, I'd rather hack her to death to protect my 2 children. But it's not worth exchanging lives for this old hag." Since we already knew Grandma's purpose for coming this time and her actions, we might as well let her in, adapt to the situation, and expose her true colors. So our whole family discussed it and decisively opened the door. Grandma, who had just pulled a neighbor over to complain, immediately froze. I smiled and stepped forward to carry Grandma's luggage. Grandma, the house was a bit messy, so cleaning up took some time. It's not that Mom didn't want to welcome you. To celebrate your arrival, Mom even made your favorite braised pork. Mom, wearing an apron, clearly showed the neighbors the freshly made, glistening braised pork. It looked delicious just by looking at it. The neighbors all praised Mom for her filial piety. Grandma Leo, you are truly blessed. Leo's mom is famous for her cooking. Grandma pouted unhappily. She knows I hate braised pork the most, yet she still made it. Clearly, she doesn't want me here, that old hag. Dad quickly stepped in behind Mom. Mom, you're talking nonsense again. Every time there's a feast in the village, don't you always fight over the braised pork and pork jelly, eating half a bowl without stopping? Mom, you're just used to being poor and can't bear to spend money on meat, even going out to pick up scraps, making people think we abuse you. Dad explained at length. The neighbors nodded, showing they understood. Aunt Helen next door is the same. She has several cars but loves to pick up leftover food that people discard to cook porridge. Grandma Leo, meat isn't expensive now. You are so blessed, your son and daughter-in-law are both filial? After the neighbors finished speaking, they returned home one by one. Grandma's attempt to cause trouble had failed, and she walked into the house, feeling aggrieved. Seeing Leo, Grandma pretended to be benevolent, patting his head, and then bluntly suggested sleeping in his room tonight. University entrance exams are so important, Leo's health must not be compromised. If Grandma is with him, he won't get cold from kicking off the blanket, and if he's hungry, Grandma can even cook him noodles. No way, if she sleeps with Leo, he'll definitely get even colder. I immediately interjected, pulling Grandma away. Grandma, Leo's room has air conditioning, it's not cold. It's been so long since you visited, I've missed you so much. Don't just think about Leo. I insisted on sharing a room with Grandma. Grandma found it inconvenient to refuse and agreed. Before going to bed, she specifically sat up and asked me how to use the air conditioner remote. Learning from my past life, I deliberately showed her the wrong way to turn on the cooling and heating modes. In the middle of the night, Grandma stealthily got out of bed and crept into Leo's room. Leo, don't blame Grandma, who told your destiny to clash with Blake's. If you pass your university exams smoothly, then Blake's chances of getting into university will vanish. Blame your mom for giving birth to you at the wrong time. Blake was Grandma's illegitimate son with the village blacksmith. When Grandma was 40, to deceive everyone, the blacksmith always told outsiders that Blake was found by him in the mountains. Initially, the villagers believed it, until Blake grew older and the two looked more and more alike. The villagers immediately realized that Blake must have been secretly born to the blacksmith and some wife in the village, but no one suspected Grandma. If our family hadn't been killed in our previous life, our souls imprisoned in the house, witnessing Grandma, the blacksmith, and Blake living lavishly together, I would never have guessed that the blacksmith was having an affair with Grandma, who was 20 years older than him. Blake, you're the same age as my younger brother, yet you're my father's half-brother from the same mother. Lost in my memories, I didn't notice Grandma turning around. She suddenly saw me, screamed in fear, and fell to the ground. Mom, a ghost! I seized the opportunity to continue shining the flashlight on her face and wandered around the living room. My parents, hearing the commotion, rushed out. Receiving my unspoken signal, they pretended to kindly remind Grandma, Mom, I forgot to tell you Mia sleepwalks at night. Mom, you should avoid getting up late at night. Today, Mia only had a flashlight. If she had a cleaver and accidentally hurt you, that wouldn't be good. Grandma clutched her sprained ankle in pain. Why didn't Mia have this bad habit before? Aren't you two deliberately playing tricks to drive this old hag away? Grandma was clearly a bit unconvinced. To make the act more convincing, the next day I did something big. Again, in the middle of the night, Grandma turned off her alarm, yawned, and crawled out of bed. This remote must be broken. I clearly pressed the cooling mode yesterday, but Leo was fine. If it doesn't work today, I'll press a different button. Grandma mumbled, then leaned on her cane, wanting to grab the remote to do something malicious. So I quickly threw off my blanket, my eyes dull, and walked into the kitchen. After grabbing a cleaver, I wandered around, looking for meat. Grandma eyed me suspiciously, then stealthily headed towards Leo's room. As she touched the doorknob, I swiftly and accurately swung the knife towards her. Grandma screamed in terror, Mia, you brat, do you want to chop your grandma to death? I didn't flinch, coldly pulling the knife out of the door, then swung it again towards her as she lay there. Grandma screamed in pain, rolling to one side, yelling my parents' names. Dad and Mom opened the door, annoyed. "Mom, didn't we tell you to avoid getting up at night? Mia sleepwalks and there's no cure. If you don't want to get chopped, hurry back to your room." Grandma refused. "Can't I even get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom?" Dad said coldly. "Your sleepwalking doesn't care if you need to go to the bathroom or not. If you're not afraid of death, keep trying." Seeing me still brandishing the knife, Grandma finally got scared and used both hands to scurry back to her room. To keep the act going, for a whole week, I woke up on time, constantly chopping meat in the kitchen. Only then did Grandma abandon her malicious intention of turning on the air conditioner to cool in the middle of the night. After I returned to my normal routine, Dad assigned me the task of picking Leo up from school. But that day, I waited and waited outside the school, but Leo didn't come out. When I reached his classroom door, I saw Leo lying still on his desk. This scared me. I rushed forward, calling Leo's name and splashing cold water on his face. Only then did Leo groggily wake up. "Leo, you weren't secretly studying late at night, were you?" Leo shook his head. "No, I always go to bed at 10:30 and get plenty of sleep. But I don't know why every time I come to school I feel sleepy and I can't concentrate during class." Hearing this, a sudden alarm went off in my heart. I quickly asked, "Did you eat anything Grandma touched?" Leo thought for a moment, then shook his head. "Mom made breakfast this morning and there was a bottle of fresh milk, but it was already opened." "Opened?" I noted this, then secretly asked my parents. Their answers confirmed that they hadn't helped Leo open the milk. To prove my suspicion, I bought a small secret camera and installed it in the kitchen and various places around the house. The next day, I caught a thief secretly putting something in the milk. Mom saw the person in the video and was furious. "That damned old hag. She brought sleeping pills from the village again and secretly put them in Leo's milk. For that good-for-nothing illegitimate son, she's truly lost all humanity." Dad also gnashed his teeth. Leo was a bit scared by Grandma's layered tricks. Maybe we should just find a reason to send Grandma back. But Grandma had come here with a mission. How could she leave so easily? I could only tell everyone to pretend they didn't know about Grandma putting sleeping pills in Leo's milk. Instead, the drugged milk found its way into Grandma's stomach. Grandma became exceptionally sleepy, spending most of the day in bed. Grandma also had her suspicions. She pulled Leo aside and asked, "Leo, you wake up so early. Are you sleepy at school?" Leo quickly nodded. "Yes, sometimes I even doze off during class." Leo even pretended to yawn widely and quickly told Mom to cook, saying he wanted to go back to sleep. Hearing this, Grandma's eyes crinkled with satisfaction. With the whole family's coordinated acting, Grandma believed her sleeping pill scheme was very successful. Then, a week before the university entrance exam, Grandma suddenly received a call from Blake and the blacksmith. Seeing that no one was home, Grandma put the call on speaker. In the surveillance video, Blake could be clearly heard on the other end, urging Grandma, "Mom, just making Leo sleepy isn't enough. It's best to make sure he can't even take the university exam." Grandma asked, "So, should I lock Leo in the house?" Blake said, "Don't use such a stupid method. You know the exam notification, right? It's a small card with a photo. Just throw that away and he won't be able to take the exam," Blake instructed Grandma. "As long as my brother can't take the university exam, then my hope of getting into university is 100%. Mom, everyone in the village laughs at me for not having a mother and says studying is useless. I might as well follow Dad to learn blacksmithing. I hope I can pass this time and bring honor to my parents. My elder brother's family lives well and even bought a house in the city. I just hope you don't look down on me." Grandma had always doted on Blake, who grew up without a legitimate mother. She was extremely biased towards him and even promised, "Blake, Mom loves you the most. Everything your brother strives for will definitely be yours." Grandma had long planned to cut off my family's ancestral line for Blake, which is why she could act so viciously towards our family of 4 in our previous life. To prevent the tragedy of the past life from recurring, this time, after the exam notification papers were issued, I asked a friend to make a color photocopy that looked authentic and gave it to Leo. My parents at home held the fake exam notification and repeatedly told Leo to keep it safe. Believing it to be real, Grandma took the fake notification and flushed it down the toilet. Leo, knowing what happened, cried loudly in the house, packing his bags, intending to run away. Grandma was in her room, wiping away tears. I really had good intentions, but I'm just old and a bit muddled. Besides, university exams aren't just once. Leo can retake it next year. This child is still spoiled by his mother. He has such a hot temper and isn't close to me. But Grandma didn't know that at the moment she was slandering Leo, he had already run out and was in the pre-booked hotel room. Early the next morning, Leo, along with thousands of other 12th grade students, walked into the exam hall. 3 days would witness the results of their 3 years of effort. Until the university entrance exam ended, Leo, still sulking, was brought home by Mom. Grandma cooked porridge and tried to persuade Leo. Reading many books doesn't necessarily guarantee a good future. Many university graduates can't find good jobs now. Leo, you might as well go to a factory and work as a laborer. You can earn some money to help the family. She then suggested, Blake from our village also just finished his university exams and wants to come to the city to broaden his horizons. When I was alone in the village, Blake and his father took care of me a lot. This time, they're coming to the city and don't have any other relatives, so they'll definitely stay at our house. You all better not object. My brother couldn't help but sneer. With Blake's brains, how could he pass university? Grandma, you might as well advise him to work as a laborer in a factory. Grandma's face changed in an instant. She angrily slammed the bowl onto the table. Look at how you raise your children, daring to speak loudly to your elders. If it were me, I would have slapped him to teach him manners. Dad glared at Grandma. Leo isn't wrong. I heard the village teacher say that Blake's grades haven't been good for many years. Even if he takes the university exam, it'll be useless. Grandma was so angry she laughed. What nonsense are you talking about? Blake will definitely be the only university student from our village this year. Her protective behavior made me burst out laughing. Grandma, look how agitated you are. One might think Blake is your real grandson. Mia, you're also ill-mannered. You've all been spoiled by your mother. Grandma pointed at my face and cursed, so angry that she didn't eat dinner that night. The next day, Blake and the old blacksmith arrived as planned. Grandma arranged for them to stay in Leo's room. Seeing that Blake only had a backpack, Grandma told him to temporarily wear Leo's clothes. Blake was not at all polite. That day, he ruined a pair of celebrity autographed shoes that Leo had collected. Leo angrily threw Blake's and the old blacksmith's backpacks out the door, telling them to get out. Grandma, with tears streaming down her face, lay on the floor, wailing. Oh, heaven. I'm so miserable. I gave birth to an unfilial son who went to the city to enjoy life, leaving me in the village to fend for myself. If it weren't for kind Blake and the blacksmith, I would have died of illness in the village long ago. Now my grandson is even using an excuse to kick me out. He just wants to get rid of this old woman. Old people are just hated by their families. I might as well just die here. Grandma cried and wailed, pulling a rope from the shoe cabinet and wrapping it around her neck, making a huge fuss. Neighbors, hearing the argument, poked their heads out to watch. Seeing Grandma trying to commit suicide, others quickly intervened. Mr. Lee, Mrs. Lee, aren't they just relatives staying for a few days? No need to make such a fuss. Grandma, you're so old and haven't enjoyed life yet. Quickly throw away that rope and let your grandchildren show their filial piety. Leo quickly apologized to Grandma. It's not worth it over a pair of shoes. Leo was about to retort but was slapped silent by me. There were busybody neighbors next door, colleagues of Dad in the community, and Mom's dance partners. If Leo publicly kicked Grandma out over a pair of shoes, and Dad and Mom didn't intervene, I was sure Leo's reputation for being arrogant and unruly would spread out of the community and throughout the school. My parents' jobs would also be implicated. So I smiled, helped Grandma up, and explained that Leo was just being childish and had a temper, but he'd be fine in a moment. I also assured Grandma that Blake and the blacksmith would absolutely not be driven away during the summer vacation. Only then did Grandma stop making a scene, satisfied. That evening, Mom was worried and uneasy. Mia, do we really have to let these scoundrels stay? I'm afraid their greed is bottomless and they'll never stop harming people. I also knew that these 3 people's desires would never be satisfied, but with them under our noses, at least we could spy on their schemes. If we drove them away, we wouldn't know what tricks they would pull behind our backs. Blake and the blacksmith, staying with us, truly treated our house as their own. They didn't close the bathroom door, ran around in their shorts everywhere, and would arbitrarily enter rooms without greeting us, sometimes choosing clothes, sometimes stealing small amounts of cash and jewelry. Until today, when I came home from work, Blake held a folder of documents and looked at me with a malicious grin. "Mia, you want to run for deputy director of the company?" What he held in his hand was the application form and declaration I had casually put in my bag that day. Blake probably spent all his money on games at the internet cafe and wanted to steal money from my bag. He didn't find money, but he found this. In my previous life, Grandma, I don't know who she heard it from, knew I wanted to run and came up with such a malicious plan to make me lose my qualification. I'm sure Blake and the old blacksmith were definitely behind this. If Blake had initiated it this time, then I would decisively turn the tables on him. I pretended not to care, walked past him to the refrigerator and got some water, explaining, "No, this is a company announcement. I only have a few years of experience, how could I be qualified?" Blake didn't believe me. "If you didn't apply, why are you taking the declaration form? Who are you kidding?" I glanced at him, my tone a bit impatient. "Someone else gave this to me. Why do you care if I applied or not? Are you bored?" Grandma, seeing Blake being scolded by me, immediately stepped forward. "Mia, what kind of talk is that? Blake asked you because he cares about you. If you're not grateful, fine, but why are you talking down to Blake? Quickly apologize to Blake." Grandma grabbed me, forcing me to apologize. I directly spat on Blake's face. "Your education is barely high school, you're nowhere near university. What right do you have to interfere with my work? After summer vacation, get out of here and go back to where you came from." I turned away in disdain, of course not missing the hatred in Blake's eyes. After our family went out for a walk, we saw in the surveillance video that the three of them, Blake, Grandma, and the blacksmith, began conspiring again. "Damn it, Mia, what's she so smug about in front of me? By seniority, she should call me uncle. Mom, tomorrow go to Mia's company and find out if there's really an election. If this is true, I don't just want Mia not to be able to run, I want her to lose her job." Blake directly assigned Grandma the task of going to work. Grandma said, "If Mia loses her job, won't she just sit at home doing nothing and spend all the money that rightfully belongs to you?" Blake and the blacksmith exchanged glances and smiled maliciously. "Doesn't Mia look down on us? We'll sell her to the mountains, marry her to the oldest, ugliest, poorest man, so she suffers abuse day and night, making her life worse than death." Grandma clapped her hands in approval in the video. "Mia is just a girl anyway. Selling her off is for the best. The money can be used for Blake to get married later." Hearing this, my parents couldn't help but curse them as beasts. Leo asked me what we should do. I told them to cooperate with me in putting on a show. The next day, I deliberately pretended to be very troubled when I came home. Dad had taken Leo out of town to play, so they weren't home. Mom saw my expression and pulled me into her room to talk. As soon as we closed the door, Blake, the blacksmith, and Grandma immediately pressed their ears to it. I deliberately spoke loudly. "The number of candidates for deputy director this time is a bit high. I'm not worried about others, only that guy Henry is really hateful. He likes to flatter and curry favor with the leadership and tries to suppress me." Mom also spoke loudly, advising me, "Then you should also humble yourself and flatter the leadership. Once you become deputy director, won't Henry have to flatter you?" Mom and I talked a lot about company matters. Blake outside listened intently. When I was about to leave, he pulled the blacksmith and Grandma away. On the third day, when I went to work, I saw Blake and the blacksmith secretly following me. As soon as I went downstairs, I saw Henry and called out his name loudly. Henry gave me a disgusted look. "Am I deaf? Why are you shouting?" Henry was the colleague I hated the most. Based on the fact that he joined the company before me, he would use his seniority to suppress and bully me. He'd dump his work on me, forget to pay me back for things I bought for him, and deliberately blame me for things. Those were all things he often did. In my previous life, it was also he who overheard female colleagues gossiping, then took fake evidence to the leadership to accuse me, ruining my promotion prospects and even making me lose my job. This time, I had to repay him and Blake's group in kind. After Blake confirmed who Henry was, he sought him out. After lunch, I saw Blake and the blacksmith pull Henry aside and gesture for a while, then the three of them happily left. When Blake returned home, Grandma impatiently asked him, "How was it? Is the deal done?" The blacksmith excitedly rubbed his hands, eager to answer first. "As long as we cooperate with Henry to disqualify Mia, he agreed to give us a $10,000 deposit. After the job is done, he'll give us another $20,000. Grandma's eyes lit up. "That much? So, have you thought of a way?" Blake then revealed his plan. He intended for Grandma to follow the plan from our previous life. When she came to the company to bring me food, she would deliberately reveal in front of female colleagues that I had been feeling nauseous and vomiting recently. Once rumors started spreading in the company, Henry would take sensitive, doctored photos to the leadership, accusing me of having a chaotic private life, being pregnant before marriage, and claiming he got the photos from a reporter. Otherwise, our company would have been on the front page already. Hearing this, I immediately came up with a counterplan. The day Grandma came to bring food, at the reception desk, she deliberately called my name loudly. Seeing me come out, she intentionally asked affectionately in front of everyone, "Mia, darling, you haven't been feeling well lately. Remember to drink more porridge." My close colleague laughed and said, "Grandma, people with stomach pain shouldn't drink porridge. The more they drink, the worse it gets." Huh, Grandma could only force a smile. Really? In our village, we all cook porridge. I don't know about these things. I immediately exposed her. "Grandma, you remember to bring nourishing food for that stranger, Blake, but you can forget to bring something for your own granddaughter and even mix up what to give her." Grandma cleared her throat and quickly said, "I'm old. It's easy to get confused." My colleague and I exchanged glances, understanding. After we left, Grandma pulled a young receptionist aside and pretended to innocently ask her, "My Mia has been secretly vomiting a lot lately. Do you know what illness she has? I want to take her to see a doctor, but she refuses." The gossipy receptionist girl immediately told others in the bathroom that day. A rumor spread from 1 to 10, then from 10 to 100. That day, someone tentatively asked me if I was pregnant. I shook my head, denying it. The other person then said, "Henry has already gone to the leader's office to accuse you." Sure enough, the next second, the leader came to my desk. Several colleagues in the team, though their fingers still clattered on their keyboards, all leaned their heads in, eavesdropping. I was sure their perked ears wouldn't miss a single word from the leader. "Mia, Henry has accused you of having an improper private life. What do you have to say?" Seeing the photos the leader held up, my colleagues gasped. Behind their backs, they gave me a thumbs up, praising my taste. I looked at the handsome male models lying in bed with me in the photos and couldn't help but greedily lick my lips. "Report, leader. I've been single since the womb for 26 years and I'm still a virgin. Henry says I'm promiscuous, but these photoshopped pictures are too fake. But I still want to ask him, where did he find these hot guys? They're totally my type." My colleagues burst into laughter. Henry's face turned beet red. "Mia, this is a workplace. Watch your words. Besides, these photos weren't photoshopped by me. A reporter from another agency sent them to me. Don't do it and then not dare to admit it. I even confirmed with your family and they verified that you are indeed pregnant." I scoffed, questioning him. "Confirmed with which family member of mine?" Henry didn't hide it and revealed, "Grandma Blake, your grandma certainly wouldn't lie." Being pregnant before marriage, this kind of thing isn't something to be proud of. "Boss, how do you plan to handle this?" Henry smugly pressured the leader to make a decision immediately. I interrupted him. "I have a recent ultrasound scan. I'm not pregnant at all." Henry didn't believe me. "Who knows if you found a doctor friend to fake documents? I've seen many people like you. They'll do anything to get a position. Then once they're in the position, they claim to be pregnant, relying on the fact that the company can't fire pregnant women, right?" Glancing at his self-righteous appearance, I suggested, "I have a witness." Henry scoffed, "I advise you not to struggle. You'll only lose more face." The leader raised his hand to stop him and told me to call my witness. As I made the call, Henry and the others saw the person who came down and were scared out of their wits. "Chairman, why are you here?" the leader asked, surprised. Henry's eyes darted around and he quickly pushed forward. "Surely the rumors about Mia's promiscuity and premarital pregnancy have reached the chairman's ears. I suggest we immediately fire employees like her." I smirked. "Are you sure you want to invite the chairman to be a witness? Of course, the chairman is the wisest person. He certainly won't cover for you." I nodded, then turned to the chairman and said, "May I ask, Mr. Chairman, were you with me last night?" The chairman shook his head. "Then, the night before last or the night before that, were you with me?" The chairman still shook his head. "Then you can testify that I am not pregnant and have no improper relationships with anyone, right?" The chairman nodded. "I can testify that Ms. Mia is still a virgin. Moreover, she has been with me every day recently, so she cannot be pregnant." Everyone gasped. So the rumor that Mia was promoted because of an unspoken rule was true, but the person involved was the chairman. Henry stammered, "Impossible. Clearly your grandma." I cut him off. "My grandma, even before I was born, has always been biased, wanting to bring my cousin from the village, Blake, to the city. That's why she concocted schemes to slander me, hoping to drive me out of the house and seize my parents' property. I never thought you would conspire with them to falsely accuse and harm me. I questioned Henry. Those photos, did you get them from Blake? And did you contact a reporter to ruin me? Do you know this is illegal? Henry was so scared he backed away, waving his hand, saying, "It wasn't me." I asked again. "You said you personally saw me and another man enter a hotel. So tell me, who was that man?" He was. Henry couldn't speak. I helped him out. "Was it Blake? He's my cousin from the village, so of course, he's staying at my house. What's the problem? He and I are innocent, unlike some people with dark intentions." Everyone burst into laughter. Henry's face turned crimson with anger. I ignored him and turned to the chairman. "Chairman, I suspect Henry profited from Blake, deliberately harming me to get me disqualified from the competition so he could be smoothly promoted. I suggest a thorough investigation of this matter to clear my name and to warn those with malicious intentions." The chairman nodded and told his secretary to investigate Henry. Henry's legs gave way and he slumped to the floor. The department head wished he could kick him several times. Truly foolish. He even dared to offend the chairman. Our company really can't keep such a rotten apple that spoils the bunch. Hearing this, Henry loudly called for security, telling them to quickly throw me out. Security guards ran over, preparing to escort me out. But the chairman said, "The rotten apple I spoke of is not Mia, but him." The chairman pointed at Henry. Henry was so scared that his forehead was covered in cold sweat. "Chairman, have you made a mistake? For these past few years, I have always been dedicated to the company. As for Mia, she works sporadically. Now she's even done something so shameful." Henry held up the photos and presented them to the chairman. The chairman didn't even look, directly throwing them into the trash. "Mia's ultrasound results, I can prove they are real because I was there that day. After learning about the conspiracy of Blake and his accomplices, I deliberately pretended to faint after meeting with the chairman for work. Originally, I had appendicitis, and the doctor advised me to have surgery early, but I was always busy with work and didn't dare to take time off. After I fainted, the chairman told his driver to drive directly to the hospital. After an abdominal examination, I was diagnosed with appendicitis and underwent surgery immediately. 2 days before the diagnosis results, there were no signs whatsoever that I was pregnant. Mia endured appendicitis pain for her work, yet you, in your desire to run for deputy director, deliberately photoshopped intimate pictures and spread false rumors. If we don't fire you, who will we fire?" The chairman ordered the leader to immediately announce Henry's termination. Despite Henry kowtowing and begging for forgiveness, the decision remained unchanged. He hugged the box of documents that the security guard had thrown out and angrily went to my house. Blake opened the door and, seeing Henry, demanded the remaining payment. Henry angrily threw the box of documents at his face. "You still have the nerve to ask for money. If you hadn't told me Mia was pregnant and wanted to team up with me to deal with her, I wouldn't have lost my job." Blake, without a blush or a pounding heart, said, "Mia was vomiting in the middle of the night, so of course she was pregnant. If there was any mistake, you can't blame us. Who told you that you weren't capable enough to fight her?" Henry was too disgusted to waste words and told Blake to return the $10,000 deposit and compensate him for his lost job. Grandma immediately protected her son, standing in front of Blake. "What deposit? We never received any money from you. You're here causing trouble, I'll call the police. I have transfer records. If you don't pay me back, I'll report you to the police and sue you. Who knows if this bogus record is something you made up? If you're capable, go ahead and sue," Grandma screamed defiantly. Henry's face turned beet red. Blake subtly played a trick, pushing Grandma towards Henry. Grandma seized the opportunity to pretend Henry pushed her down. The blacksmith immediately yelled loudly, "Come quickly. A thug is beating an old woman." Neighbors who were at home rushed to open their doors to help. Blake, without waiting for Henry to speak, immediately branded him. "This is a scoundrel from the company who couldn't win the election against Mia, so he came to our house to beat an old woman out of anger. He even fabricated stories, saying we received benefits from him and wants to cause us trouble." Uncle Ben, the neighbor, unceremoniously pushed Henry against the shoe cabinet, ordering him not to move. "You vile man. How could you lay hands on a 50-year-old woman? You wait for the police to deal with you." As soon as he heard the neighbors wanted to call the police, Blake quickly stopped them. "Mia is in the middle of an election. If the police get involved, it'll be troublesome. He injured Grandma, so he must take full responsibility for all her medical expenses." How could Henry agree? The blacksmith threatened. You just got fired from your company. Don't you want to be reported again for assaulting an old woman? If it goes on your record, you'll have a hard time finding a job later." Henry then fell silent. Just as Blake and the other two thought they had won, I quickly stepped forward. "This matter cannot just be left alone. Mia, let others off and they'll let you off. He lost his job because of you. Some monetary compensation should be enough." "It's not worth sending him to jail." The blacksmith pretended to be a good person, advising me, but he misunderstood my intention. "Henry losing his job wasn't ultimately because of me, but because of Mr. Blake and Grandma. It's because you all lied to him, saying I was pregnant and wanted to team up with him to harm me and make me lose my job. As a result, I turned the tables on you." The neighbors gasped in surprise. Grandma, lying on the ground, began to wail again. "Mia, I know you don't like me, but you can't frame me like this. Clearly, you make enemies everywhere, causing people to come to our house and cause trouble. I was beaten while protecting your reputation. Do you have any conscience saying these things?" Grandma thought I had no evidence and kept fabricating stories. I took out the photos I had secretly taken and told Henry to take out his chat history and transfer records with Blake. "Grandma, for these two outsiders, you would slander your own granddaughter, saying she's promiscuous and pregnant, wanting to harm her and make her lose her job? You truly have a heart of stone." The neighbors, who had initially helped Grandma persuade me, all looked at Grandma, Blake, and the blacksmith with disdain after seeing the evidence. "Grandma Leo, you really have a problem with your brain. If Mia succeeds in the election, her salary can increase greatly every year. Why would you harm your own granddaughter for outsiders? You two are also truly shameless. Leo's family kindly lets you stay in the city, yet you're so deceitful, harming them and making them lose their jobs. You're truly a bunch of ungrateful wretches. I think Grandma Leo is protecting outsiders like this because they probably have an illicit relationship." Hearing everyone discussing their relationship, Blake angrily jumped up, wanting to hit someone. But after all, he and the blacksmith were only two people. How could they fight so many? Grandma, seeing her illegitimate son and lover at a disadvantage, quickly scrambled up from the ground. Just then, the police arrived. All of us were invited to the police station. Initially, Blake, the blacksmith, and Grandma still fabricated stories in front of the police. It wasn't until the surveillance camera footage and Henry's evidence were presented that the police said Blake showed signs of fraud. Grandma and the blacksmith became restless, kneeling and begging the police. The police asked for Henry's demands. Henry demanded the return of his deposit and compensation for his lost job. As soon as she heard they had to pay $40,000, Grandma burst into tears. "I'm just an old woman, his father is just a blacksmith. How can we come up with so much money?" The police demanded Blake return the deposit first. As for the remaining amount, he wouldn't be released until it was paid. Grandma hurriedly urged Blake to pay. Blake awkwardly said, "The money is long gone. I spent it all on games." The blacksmith was furious and wanted to hit him. Grandma, however, heartbreakingly stopped him. "Don't rush, he doesn't have the money. Mom will go ask her son for a loan." Hearing this, I smirked. "Grandma, you conspired with outsiders to do something so ungrateful, and you still have the nerve to ask my father for money? Let me tell you, all three of you must get out of my house." Grandma stood upright and walked in front of me. "You unfilial beast, I raised your father. Does he dare not give me money? I'll go to his workplace and cause a scene. If not, I'll go to your mother's workplace and cause a scene. Let's see if you dare not give me money." I held up the evidence I had gotten from Henry and smiled triumphantly. "Go ahead and cause a scene. Our family will spread everything you've done everywhere. By then, we'll find someone to judge whether we're unfilial or if the old woman is muddled and having an affair with the blacksmith. If this news spreads back to the village, what do you think people will say?" The question of who Blake's real mother is has always been a topic of discussion among the villagers. If this news spreads, Grandma will certainly be suspected. Grandma was speechless. The blacksmith quickly said, "Ms. Tu, you've helped us enough. We'll figure out the money ourselves. Don't ruin your family's relationship." Blake was temporarily detained. The blacksmith went home to pack his things and left. Dad suggested taking Grandma to the bus station tomorrow so she could return to the village. Grandma, however, firmly said she didn't need him to take her. I immediately understood that Grandma was worried about Blake in the police station and didn't want to leave yet. I secretly placed a small tracking and listening device inside Grandma's luggage bag. Grandma picked up her luggage and got into a taxi, then immediately turned around and drove off to meet the blacksmith. As soon as they met, the blacksmith began to complain to Grandma. "Ms. Two, you can't ignore Blake. He's your son too. If we don't get the ransom, Blake will have a criminal record, and his hopes for university will definitely be gone." Grandma was also worried and quickly asked the blacksmith, "Has the teacher reported the news yet? How many points did our Blake get?" The blacksmith lied. He did okay on the exam, he could get into a second-tier university, but now that this has happened, whether Blake can enroll is also a problem. Grandma was overjoyed to hear that Blake could get into a second-tier university. She comforted the blacksmith. "Don't worry, Mr. Lee's family are all ungrateful, white-eyed wolves. After a week, I'll pretend to be sick so they'll take me back. Then I'll find an opportunity to kill them. The money will naturally be there." The blacksmith was ecstatic, hugging and kissing Grandma. The sounds made me feel nauseous and want to vomit. Now that I knew their conspiracy, I naturally couldn't sit idly by and wait to die. So, I hired a woman specializing in seducing men, telling her to move into the apartment opposite the blacksmith's rented place. She would always wear revealing clothes when encountering the blacksmith. The blacksmith, having been in the village for a long time, only ever met crude old women. Suddenly seeing a beautiful woman with a fiery figure, he was so captivated his mouth watered. Seeing that the blacksmith was utterly enchanted by the woman, I gave him an opportunity to be a hero and rescue the beauty. After the blacksmith chased away a group of hooligans who were harassing the woman, she finally fell into his arms and told him a secret. "My previous man was a swindler and left me a lot of money. Mr. Blacksmith, as long as you treat me well and are devoted to me, I'll share half of that money with you." The blacksmith controlled his excitement and quickly asked about the amount. The woman took out a fake bank statement that I had helped her forge and showed it to the blacksmith. As soon as he saw several million, the blacksmith knew Blake had a hope of being saved. Moreover, he and his son were about to live the good life they had always dreamed of. How could he not agree? The woman then said, "Is the woman staying in the same room as your mother or a relative?" "Every time she looks at me, her eyes are very unpleasant. You should quickly kick her out. When I see her, I'm unhappy, and if I'm unhappy, I might change my mind." An old woman who was about to kick the bucket had to rely on her son's charity for money. A young, beautiful woman who already had money herself. The blacksmith wasn't stupid. Of course, he knew who to abandon and who to follow. Returning from the woman's place, the blacksmith immediately ordered Grandma to pack her bags and get out. Grandma was furious, her eyes red, cursing the blacksmith. "You heartless scoundrel, have you been having an affair with that vixen across the street? I knew that vixen wasn't any good. She walks around all day in 2 pieces of cloth. I'll tear her face to shreds." The blacksmith covered her mouth, defending the woman. "Don't blame others. I've been sick of you for a long time. You don't even look at yourself, how wrinkled your skin is, and that strong old person smell. When we go out, people all say you're my mother and Blake's grandma." Grandma bit hard into the blacksmith's palm. "In the beginning, when you were wrapped up with me, you said I was mature and charming. I hid it from everyone and bore you a child. Now you're saying I'm old and want to kick me out? Don't even think about it." The blacksmith revealed his fierce side, telling Grandma to quickly get out and not tear each other's faces apart. But Grandma wasn't afraid and revealed a shocking secret. "Blacksmith, that year, you poisoned my old man and killed him. I have proof. If you dare abandon me and my son for this woman, I'll expose your murder." The blacksmith never expected Grandma to have this move. He was both angry and anxious. "Why did I poison and kill your old man? Wasn't it because you said he was there, interfering with our affair, and that he was already suspicious of us, so you instigated me to poison him?" Hearing the shocking secret from their mouths, Dad almost couldn't stand firm. He gnashed his teeth, cursing Grandma for being vicious. I wondered why Grandfather was always healthy, yet he suddenly suffered a stroke and was bedridden. It turns out it was all because of this adulterous pair. I must report them to the police and have them imprisoned. Dad wanted justice for his deceased grandfather, but relying on just one audio recording wasn't enough to convict them. Acting rashly, these two might deny killing Grandfather, and then we'd be done for. So I contacted the woman, gave her a sum of money, and told her to continue pressuring the blacksmith. If he didn't kick Grandma out in 2 days, the woman would leave him. The blacksmith desperately wanted to kick Grandma out and follow the woman, but Grandma held the evidence of his murder. He didn't dare to take the risk. With only 1 day left until the deadline, our whole family intently listened to the eavesdropping device, hoping the blacksmith and Grandma would completely turn against each other so we could seize the opportunity to bring them to justice. But unexpectedly, Grandma suddenly changed her personality. She began to probe the blacksmith's intentions for following the woman. "Blacksmith, do you want to follow her because of her attractive appearance and figure?" "That's only part of it, isn't the bigger part because of money? Does that woman have a lot of money? Is it hundreds of thousands or millions? If she has so much money, why don't you figure out a way to make her money yours? That way, you won't have to obey a woman and can do whatever you want, just like how we poisoned that old man." Grandma subtly led the blacksmith, who was clearly tempted. That evening, we tracked the blacksmith and found him going to the black market to buy medicine. He then turned around and carried fruit to the woman's room. Fearing a murder, I immediately sent a warning message to the woman and also called the police. When the police broke down the door and rushed in, they saw the blacksmith forcing the woman to eat fruit. The police took the fruit for testing and indeed found a chronic poison. Seeing his crime exposed, the blacksmith immediately dragged Grandma down with him. I sent the audio recording of the two of them poisoning my grandfather to the police, accusing them of not accidental manslaughter, but premeditated murder. Grandma, terrified, cried and lied to the police. "The blacksmith is not a good person. He raped me and forced me to have a child for him. Then, seeing my old man as an eyesore, he pretended to bring food and poison my old man. I was afraid he would kill me too, so I took pictures of him poisoning him. The phone with the photos is in my house in the village." The blacksmith, hearing Grandma blame him, immediately refused to give in. "You deceitful woman, didn't you complain about your old man being useless and deliberately seduce me that year? Now you're saying I raped you. That's all lies." Grandma lay on the ground, dramatically pointing to the sky, claiming her innocence and yelling, "If you're capable, tell the blacksmith to produce evidence." But the blacksmith laughed. "Mia, you think just because you have photos, I don't have evidence? Our son is the best proof. He personally saw you begging me to buy poison to kill your old man. You even threatened to kill yourself." Grandma was stunned and froze. "Impossible. He's lying. How could Blake betray me?" To investigate the truth, the police brought Blake in. Blake heard the blacksmith say that Grandma was jealous and preventing the blacksmith from clinging to the rich woman to make money. His face immediately changed. He firmly bit, "At first, I personally saw Grandma begging the blacksmith to buy poison, even threatening to kill herself." Grandma's material evidence convicted the blacksmith of murder, and Blake's testimony convicted Grandma of instigating murder. Blake believed he had avenged himself on his selfish mother. Grandma pounded on my door again. "Damn it, you guys hired that woman with money. She's not a rich lady at all." Blake roared furiously, threatening that he would definitely not let me off once he was out. But I had already secretly reached an agreement with Henry. After receiving the money, Henry refused to reconcile, so Blake's fraud charge couldn't be escaped. Moreover, my family also extracted surveillance camera footage, proving that Blake not only committed fraud, but also stole valuable gold and silver jewelry from our house and sold it for money. The amount was just enough to convict him, so he would have to serve at least 5 years in prison. During his imprisonment, my brother Leo's university entrance exam scores came out. He was accepted into his dream university. I also successfully applied for and was promoted to deputy director. My mother was able to participate in the competition on time and stood on the podium with everyone in her dance troupe, receiving first prize. Everything we lost in our previous life was justly repaid in this life. I have arranged their future lives. They will have to live in torment and suffering, experiencing little by little everything I had to endure in my previous life. This is the karma they deserve. As for me, from now on, I will live well, live for myself, regardless of gossip, regardless of strife. My family, Mia, will never bow down to fate and will live a truly happy life.